Quick video. My mom's major plumbing problems are something my mom's neighbor was she's seen the plumbing people's trucks here for days, and so she's real nice. She's probably in between me and my mom's age. She's like 60s or something, but she her and I just are, we just chat sometimes. I'm trying to get her to go out to karaoke or to a club or something with me. But anyway, she was like wanting to tell me about a plan she has through Dominion, like Dominion Power. I guess Dominion offers other services, and she's been able to have like some severe plumbing things handled for like, kind of like paying like she said it used to be $5, but now it's like a $9.99 fee a month to kind of have it as almost like, it sounds more like an insurance kind of thing. And she's had substantial plumbing stuff replaced for this incredible price, whereas my mom is, paying like $2,500 in the last day or so, but it's going to be like this huge, like tens of thousands of dollars, and all of this stuff. And so anyway, she doesn't see my mom because my mom doesn't really go outside hardly, just to get into a car to be taken to like go get a prescription or something. She just doesn't like to be outside. So anyway, she wanted me to relay the message. So I was like, okay, well, she probably won't. I said, if you would see her ever, probably would go over a million times better if you tell her than me. And so, but she's like, well, I just don't see her. And I'm like, I know. And so I went inside. My sister's gone for the day to go and meet with our toxic dad for lunch with her kids. So I went ahead and tried to, say, hey, Mom, you need to talk to Janet, the neighbor. She has some interesting information she wants to share with you about the plumbing. She's like, well, I don't know when I'll be out there. I don't know when I'll see her. I'm like, so then I'm like thinking to myself, okay, well, go ahead and just tell her what it is so that she realizes that she should have that conversation. So I said, well, she has had extensive plumbing problems fixed through to surprisingly using Dominion. My mom started yelling at me that my mom is not even normally a yeller. She's much more normally like a very covert, like I do feel like now she is a narcissist, but she is such a covert narcissist normally. Like my dad was like the overt kind of like always screaming and yelling and always whatever. And then I've been married to more of a covert who always wore a mask most of the time, even with us, but the mask slips off. But he wasn't like the way my dad would have been much more like getting in fights when he was on like softball teams as an adult with kids, and like a grown ass man, he would be still like getting into like riffs with people. And so anyway, my mom started yelling at me, and I'm like just bewildered. I'm like, so I was supposed to know that you already have a plan with him? Like I was supposed to know, like I'm just and it's like she's like, well, and she's like yelling at me. She's not just speaking. She's yelling at me that I should have not assumed she didn't. Oh my gosh. I'm just like, okay. And then she starts ranting about other things that are wrong with me, wrong with something I left in the bathroom. And I'm just like, I just walked back outside like, oh my God, did I not just call that out? Did I not just tell the neighbor it probably won't go well? And like, these plumbing problems, they have things temporarily fixed, but they're telling my mom it's going to be like this huge underhaul, basically like gutting like most of the house to go through the cement pad underneath, to like fix these issues. But it might be something she can put off for a little while. And I don't know what she's planning, but this is what I'm thinking. All of this is stirring up in me the things that I was already realizing, which is that I need to cut my mom off just like I've cut my dad off. I need to completely sever ties with the toxic family that I have. And yet she's the only person I have to live with. There isn't anybody else. I almost feel like, in my mind, I think, well, maybe you should ask Janet if you could live with her. But, I know people who could offer me a room to rent. I tried to speak to a couple people at karaoke about that. But it's like, I think that maybe people just don't realize, like, if you have decent family, like, and my mom, if you would meet my mom, anybody, she's not gonna act like this. She's not going, you're not gonna know. And that's what kills me, because it's like realizing, like, she's never been there for me when I've given birth. She's never been there for me. Like, I've given birth 11 times. Like, she's never ever been there for me. And I do realize that. And that's been a hard thing to come to terms with as I like understood more and more and more, you know, as the older I got. And just when we lived away, when we were Navy, when he was Navy and we lived like in Italy or Mississippi, then you just tend to tell yourself like, well, no one's here to help me with my new baby, or etc. You know, big major kind of stuff like that. Because we're living in a foreign country or we're living in a different state. But the thing is that my first baby I had here in Virginia, and my mom was never there for me. Like, I mean, even just like when you have a 1-month-old and all the weeks, like your baby's brand new and you're just exhausted and all like, so later, obviously we moved back 16 years ago, and, you know, I had a 3-month-old, I had a 1-month-old when we moved actually. But anyway, not to ramble, but yeah, so like I've given birth, you know, I don't know, 7 times since we've been back in the States, or 6 times or whatever, and had multiple miscarriages and all kinds of stuff, and my mom's never been there for me. So like I have realized as the years have gone on, and I'm realizing that I really got to do this. I gotta which I guess means moving into a shelter. Like, I don't even think moving into a shelter, if I had a working vehicle, would seem that scary to me, because I definitely am a firm believer in like having even just like a room that you could rent or something. Like having a small amount of space that can be peaceful is better than living like the Bible even has a verse about, and I do not recommend living by the Bible, but there is a verse about, you know, better to live like on the rooftop than in like a wide house with lots of, you know, better to eat a salad than to have like, you know, the fatted calf and strife or whatever. There are verses like that. But anyway, I don't want to be quoting the Bible. My point is man, it's like I don't even know if my mom would have, if her mask would have been completely off the way it was if other people had been around. But because no one else was home, she knew there was no one, like, you know, in other words, like her grandchildren, the little children of my sister who are here visiting, but they're not here right this minute. Like, she wouldn't probably want them to see her true self the way she just treated me. And somehow, I mean, what the fuck? I just worked through all this stuff yesterday, and here we go again. So it's like the reality of, well, that's why, Jennifer, you have to, and it might take me a little bit of time. I've got to figure out what I'm going to do, but I've got to cut the ties with her. And part of, I think a lot, and I'm dreamy, I'm a visionary, but part of me, even in my list I wrote down, like, it was more than just about a car, but it was like, well, this is the current, and this is what you're manifesting. And it's like, I have thought to myself, my cell phone's not working. Like, it's working for the camera, and it's working to use the Wi-Fi when I hook up to my mom's, but my I can't even make a phone call or a text. Like, there's like issues with my phone the last several days. So my phone's not even like working on its own. And the car, and then, you know, anything like loving, connecting relationships, and all of it. It's like, you know, I don't have a house, you know, I don't have, it's like all of these things. It's like the dreamy part of me is like, maybe it's so when you write your book and you're on the other side and you have all of those things that you haven't had, that you literally will be able to say, I didn't have this or that. I didn't even have, you know, this X or whatever, you know, fill in the blank. Like, I'm not saying I don't have food to eat. I mean, God forbid, I hope that wouldn't be something I would need to say. I didn't have food to eat. I'm not trying to paint a bleak picture. At the same time, it's just glaringly obvious to me how, I mean, I'm just thinking to myself the last several days that it's a good thing I didn't bring any of my kids here with me. I did think about bringing the younger two. I would have had to really fight my soon-to-be ex. Like, he wasn't going to just let me. It would have been a fight. It might have escalated to becoming physical violence towards me from him. And but you know, I knew that it was a toxic environment here, but I guess I'm just being shown daily lately that just how much. And it's like, it's reminding me of the stuff in the marriage. It's because my mindset's so different now. I'm not for just going along and playing along with this bullshit. You know, I'm not, my intuition isn't being usurped by like Bible verses that are telling me, well, just suffer wrong and just take the wrong and just turn the other cheek and just allow someone to harm you and misuse, mistreat you and all that. So it's like, I don't have that bullshit, And so it's like, I know very well that whether it's the plumbing or whether it's my sister in town, or like today, it's really not related to plumbing or my sister. It's my mom is just very toxic, and she likes to milk sickness, and she'll put on, like she did this earlier this morning. She was muttering. She's about 2 feet from me and I could not make out her words. And then she went and tapped on my nephew's door to wake him up because he needed to take the dogs. My sister has her dogs here and they're in crates and they need to go out and use the bathroom. So she was waking up my nephew and she was tapping on his door. And so she's not 2 feet from me. She's, probably 50 feet or 60 feet from me. And I can hear her. She's like, knock, knock. She's like, you need to wait. You need to get up. The dogs need to go out. You need to take them out before they make any more mess than they've already made. It already doesn't smell good. I could hear her clear as day in the kitchen. I was like, oh my gosh, like, you're not delusional. Like, you can hear her. She's able to speak. But she had just been in the kitchen muttering to me, like and she knows. I've told her other times, like, Mom, I can't understand you. But I didn't say it this time because I know I'm becoming, I've been here for about a month, but I am seeing patterns and I'm becoming aware of just how, really these are controlling techniques. These are manipulation and control tactics that are very, very obscure and very hard to, like, when you think of someone, if someone were to say, like, my parent is really controlling, you would think of more, I would at least think of more of the way that my dad would have been controlling, like, no, you can't, get up to drink water in the middle of the night. Or no, you can't get out of your bed to use the bathroom, or whatever. Or no, you're not allowed to eat whatever. Like, just really, really strong kind of like overt ways of control. But we don't think about control being that someone would dare to just make themselves not audible but then show you what they're capable of. And it's like, oh my gosh, I see this, and I can't unsee it. And I don't deserve this. And I'm not going to cower. I think of how much of my life have I spent because I didn't see it for what it was. And because I don't treat people, even when I was unhealed, like, I don't move from that heart space, that I think a lot of it is like kind of rooted, the problem is rooted in, I can't even imagine someone willingly operating from that heart space. And I think that's the thing that really is so hurtful, because you realize that she's doing it on purpose. And maybe someone who might be watching my channel is maybe not a healed person themselves, or maybe they're even more of a subtle narcissist type of person. And I don't mean to overuse that word, but maybe someone might even watch my video and be like, I don't know what she's complaining about. Like, I know that these sound like very subtle nuances, but yet they're very real. And I don't deserve to be treated. No one deserves to be treated like this. Like, I was so excited when the neighbor told me about this, and I was like, oh, really? Like, could never have imagined that. I don't know if it'll be applicable to my mom's situation, but yes, I want in my heart space, like, yes, I wanted to go and tell my mom. I wanted to go and share the hopeful prospect of maybe you won't have to spend this many, tens of thousands of dollars and take out a second loan, perhaps. Like, I mean, I wasn't 100% convinced that Dominion's going to cover this or whatever. But, like, I feel like the way that we move from, like, our motives matter. And my motives are pure. And here I'm being yelled at. I'm being yelled at by someone who doesn't normally let her mask come off completely. And she doesn't normally yell. It's these other very... So, I'm making this video once again. This is one of the raw kind. Bye. Well, I was recording that last video, and I was sitting in my car, and when I got out of the car, my mom came out with her walker, and proceeded to tell me that she wants me to move out. And kind of ranted and said the same things that I should have known, that she, of course, had that plan. And so I guess it's the decision I know that I needed to make is made for me.